An excerpt from It Falls Apart by Kate Pawson Studer. Chapter 11. From Chloe Pascal. To Harper Donnelly. Subject: Who names their kid Brasley? Yeah, that's not a typo. Brasley. I'm serious, man. Brasley. Some kid in my English class. I think he's the kind of kid who should probably be at some private boarding school, but his dad effed up on the stock market, and now he's stuck here in Columbus with the rest of us commoners. Hope all your new classes were cool today. Did you get Anson or Fisher for bio? Did I tell you I got my last exam thing all sorted out? 'Cause, yeah, I did. It was fine. Also, I got an email from Luke yesterday, which was kind of unexpected. We stopped texting about a week after I moved, and then the interaction slowly went downhill from there. I thought maybe he was mad at me, or stewing about the whole sitch. So I didn't reach out, because really, what is there to say? But then, there it was, an email. It was short, mostly about school and stuff, but just seeing his name at the bottom made me miss him. I'm starting to wonder if breaking things off was the best idea. Maybe we should have tried long distance. It's not like we're poised to be separated for years. I don't know. Have you seen him at school lately? Please tell me he isn't randomly making out with other girls in the hallway. I need details. You're officially my little spy, LOL. All right, enough about that. Man drama, who needs it? That said, anything with Carter? Please tell me you two have hooked up. I need to live vicariously. All the guys here are lame. See above, Brasley. I'm gonna go and distract myself so I don't call Luke. I'm seriously thinking about it. Misses and kisses, Chloe. Nan was calling for the 4th time, so I answered and put her on hands-free. Hey, Nan. Where are you? She asked, her voice tinny through the speaker. I'm driving. I'm almost at the airport. It's starting to snow here, she said. That weather's moving in faster than they predicted. I glanced out the van's windows in every direction. It's not snowing here. For a moment it was silent on the other end of the line, and I thought maybe she'd hung up. But then, okay, well, keep me posted. I don't like the look of that sky. I'll be careful, I said. I mean it, Harper. Don't drag your heels. I smiled. I won't. I'm pulling into the lot now, so I gotta go. After greeting the Nelsons and their 10-year-old son, I got them settled, their luggage loaded, and we headed for the Coleman Country Inn. The faster-than-forecasted weather Nan had mentioned made itself known the minute we neared Burn Harbor. An angry sky dropped an abrupt curtain of snow and ice pellets, causing me to flick the wipers on to their highest setting. We're almost there, I assured the Nelsons as we pulled onto the rural road and made our way past the battered Jesus died for our sins billboard that had been a fixture along that road since I was a kid. Then we'll get you inside, safe and dry ASAP. Snow was blowing across the nearby fields, causing me to have to slow down as I neared the driveway. The sign for the inn was already coated in a blanket of snow. Not that it would have been easy to spot anyway, with visibility being so bad. We rambled up the drive, and I waited until we were as close as possible to the main house before cutting the engine and hopping out. Shards of ice struck the exposed skin of my face as the wind tried to push me back into the van. "Oh there," Luke's dad called from the porch. He hurried down the steps to greet the Nelsons and then quickly ushered them inside. I made my way around the back of the van to grab their luggage when Luke appeared beside me, as he had every time I'd dropped off passengers. "Just let me," he said, before I could even say hi, and he grabbed the 2 largest suitcases. A strong gust of wind nearly knocked me off my feet, and I braced myself against the back door of the van. "Okay, but I'm taking the small one." Luke turned and headed for the front porch. "Bring it here," he called over his shoulder. I trudged through the snow, the strong gusts of blowing ice fighting my every step. When I reached the luggage cart, Luke had already loaded the other 2 bags and then took the smaller suitcase from me before loading it too. "Why don't you head in?" he said, his voice almost lost in the howling wind as he pulled the tarp across the bags and tied it to the cart. "What?" I asked, certain I'd misheard him. He tugged on the tarp to make sure it was secure, then turned to face me. I said, "Why don't you head inside?" "I need to get back," I said. "My grandmother's waiting for me." Luke looked out across the sprawling front yard, his eyes squinting against the swirling snow. "I don't think so." "I don't think you understand," I said. "I can't leave Nan alone. What if the power goes out?" Luke returned his gaze to me, his face expressionless except for what looked like concern in his dark eyes. "You're not driving in this, Harper. Most of the roads are probably closing as we speak." I glanced back toward the van, which was already covered in ice and snow. "Damn it," I muttered under my breath. "I can't stay here." Luke took a step toward me, suddenly very near, and then reached out to grab my hand. "What the—" "No, not my hand. My keys." "Hey!" I protested. Luke held up the keys for me to see, then made a show of dropping them into his pocket. "You're staying, at least until this lets up." I opened my mouth to object, but he turned and headed up the porch steps. With one final glance toward the van, now fully blanketed in white, I followed him, still torn between trying to get my keys back and accepting he was right. Luke's dad stepped outside, the Nelsons in tow, just as Luke reached the front door. "Go on inside," Mr. Coleman instructed. "I'm going to get the Nelsons settled in their cabin." Luke hitched a thumb in my direction. "Harper's staying until the storm lets up." Mr. Coleman turned his attention to me and smiled. "Good. That's a good idea." He glanced back at Luke. "I'll be back in 10. Luke nodded, then held the door open as the Nelsons followed Mr. Coleman to the snow-covered golf cart that would take them to their cabin. "You coming?" I turned and saw Luke was still holding the door open, waiting for me. "Sorry, yeah," I said, and followed him inside. I'd been to Luke's house for a party once, Chloe's last birthday party to be specific, but it felt unfamiliar now, abnormal, like the shuttle driver isn't ever supposed to come inside. "You can dump your stuff over there," Luke said, gesturing toward a coat rack in the corner. He kicked off his own boots and shrugged out of the heavy parka he'd been wearing. I followed suit, then just kind of stood there while he wrote something in a binder on a nearby table. What was I supposed to be doing? This was so unexpected and weird. And stressful. I kept thinking about Nan, all alone in the cottage, waiting and wondering. "I should call my grandmother," I said. "Let her know I've been kidnapped." I shot him a pointed look. Luke didn't seem to notice. He slid the pencil he was writing with into the spine of the binder, then closed it. "Sure thing, I'll show you to the family room." We headed down a hallway past the check-in area and the large kitchen to a cozy, rustically furnished room at the back of the house. It was the first time I'd ever seen it, Chloe's summer birthday party being mostly confined to the patio out back. One wall was consumed by a large stone fireplace, the mantel above packed with framed family photos, while another wall featured shelves and shelves of books. "This is nice," I said, still feeling awkward. "Feel free to call your grandma." Luke reached down and grabbed a remote from the plush leather sofa before handing it to me. "Watch TV if you want. I'll be back in a few. I just need to wash up after mucking around in the barn." "Oh, do you guys have horses?" I asked, knowing there was a small barn outside, but for some reason having never connected the dots. "Goats," Luke said, as though it was obvious. "We used to have horses, but now it's only the goats." He stared at me like he was trying to decide something, but then seemed to snap out of it. "Okay, well, I'll be back." "Okay." After he left the room, I tossed the remote back onto the couch and pulled my phone out of my pocket. Nan picked up after only one ring. "Harper, where are you?" Her voice sounded strained. "I'm at the Colemans," I said. "The storm got bad just as we arrived, and they've insisted I stay until it blows over. Are you okay?" "Oh, thank goodness," Nan said, her tone returning to normal. "I'm fine, but I've been worrying myself over you." "Please don't worry about me," I said. "That's the last thing you need right now." "I'm okay. I'll head back as soon as the worst of it passes." "Let me know when you're on your way, and drive safely when you do." I had to smile at Nan's constant reminders to stay safe. "I will. Love you, Nan." I hung up and then pocketed my phone. The house was quiet, so quiet I could hear the wind howling outside, shaking it down. I walked slowly along the length of the fireplace, glancing at the photos of Luke and his family, younger and older, all smiling, most of them taken somewhere on their acres of gorgeous property. The windows at the end of the room rattled as ice pellets collided with the glass, and I made my way over to peer out, marveling at some of the worst winter had to offer. "Hey," said a soft voice behind me. I turned to see a girl, a bit older than me, who I was fairly certain was Luke's sister. "Hey," I said, smiling as she moved into the room. "It's Danica, right?" Danica nodded. "Yep. It's Chloe, right?" "Oh, no," I said, embarrassment warming my cheeks. "I'm Harper. Chloe's my friend, but oh, shit." Danica covered her face for a moment, then swept her dark hair behind her ear. "Right, of course, Chloe moved. Sorry, I only met her once or twice, but yeah, of course. You don't even look like her." I smiled. "It's no problem." "So, sorry, are you and Luke?" "Oh, no," I said, shaking my head. "No, I drive the shuttle. My Nan's shuttle. I've been filling in for her, and, well, with the storm and all. Your brother suggested I stay for a bit. Wait it out." Danica looked taken aback. "Well, that was uncharacteristically thoughtful of him." She laughed. "I'm just kidding. Luke's a good guy when he's not being an idiot." I shrugged. "I don't really know him all that well." As though responding to his name, Luke suddenly appeared in the doorway wearing a fresh set of clothes, his normally wild, dark hair slick and wet from what must have been the fastest shower on record. For the most part, he looked the way he always did at school, but there was something about the deep turquoise color of his shirt. It suited him. Looked kind of nice, even. "Oh, hey," he said to Danica as he stepped into the room. "I didn't know you were here." "Just got in this morning," Danica said. "I wanted to get here before the storm hit. The one class I have tomorrow is skippable, assuming campus isn't closed." "It probably will be," I said, as though I was even remotely an expert on the subject. "I hope so." Danica turned and looked at Luke, studying him for a moment while he stared back at her confused. "I should go check on my laundry." "I guess that answers the question of why you're home," Luke teased, giving his sister a light shove. Danica grinned and then winked at me before excusing herself from the room. I found myself hoping she'd come back. Being alone with Luke, unexpectedly, at his house, felt so awkward. What were we supposed to do? What were we supposed to talk about? "Do you want to watch TV?" I asked, at the exact same time Luke asked, "Do you want something to drink?" Sure," I said. "Water would be fine." He nodded toward the doorway, indicating I should follow him. He led me to the kitchen where he grabbed 2 glasses from a cupboard and filled each with water from the tap. "Ice?" he asked. I glanced out the large kitchen window that faced the sprawling snowy grounds and shivered. "No, thanks." He handed me a glass and then leaned back against the counter before taking a sip from his own. I guess that meant we were staying put. "Did you get a hold of your grandma?" he asked. "Is she okay?" I nodded, swallowing some of the water. "Yeah, she's fine, but I'm worried about her." I shifted where I stood, unsure if I should grab a stool along the island in the center of the room or just keep standing there. I don't like the idea of her at home all alone, especially after what happened. "The storm will be over soon," Luke said. "I'm sure she's all right." I hope so. I glanced back out the window, my stomach feeling unsettled as I took a sip of water. "So I have a question," Luke said, catching me off guard. "What's up with you and Carter Wilking?" I nearly spit out my water. "Oh, I don't know, nothing, I guess. I mean, I don't know." Luke narrowed his eyes. "Are you two dating?" "No, not dating," I said. Crap, I had no idea how to answer that question. Why was Luke even asking? "That guy is trouble," Luke said, pausing to take another sip of water. "You'd be smart to stay away from him." "What makes you say that?" Luke shrugged. "Just stuff I've heard. He's not a good guy." "I don't know about that," I said. "He's always been nice to me." Luke pushed off the counter and gave me a look that said, "Give me a break." "Of course he has. He's nice to all the pretty girls." "I don't think he's as bad as you're making him out to be," I said, suddenly feeling defensive. "Wait, did Luke just call me pretty?" I tried to ignore the compliment. He probably blurted it without thinking. "Maybe these rumors you've heard about him aren't true." "Maybe," Luke said, "but I doubt it." "I can take care of myself," I said, but my voice was small, betraying my uncertainty. "Okay." Luke shrugged. It's probably none of my business. I just don't want to see anyone get hurt. Yeah, well, you're right. It's not any of your business. Luke fell back against the counter and took another long sip of water. Fine, he said, but then his lips slid into a smirk. At least I got you to stop worrying about your grandma for a minute. Huh. He had me there. We stood in silence for a long moment, listening as the storm hurtled through the world outside. Thank you, I finally said, my voice still small. Thank you for distracting me.